you acknowledge that a lot of times you're staging the whole thing.
I would say a good half of it is set up for the intention of posting, correct?
I want my followers to believe that I eat healthy and clean. So I'm gonna show you guys a video of some berries and oats. Can't forget the green juice, which of course I'm not gonna drink because that stuff tastes like shit.
These young entrepreneurs made a photo studio in the form of a private jet. Influencers and models line up to do photo shoots there.
We also have designer rental services. It's between $300 and $800 a month, and you get bags, shoes, sunglasses, clothing, anything you need, all designer. As long as you don't ruin it, you don't have to pay for it.
Don't be fooled and think that because someone's living that lifestyle, they're actually balling like that.
Scroll through Instagram or TikTok for a few minutes, and it's hard not to get swept up in the glamour, private jets, designer bags, and vacations. And as someone who genuinely loves nice things and showcases a lot of it here on my YouTube channel, but something that has always intrigued me is how far influencers are willing to go to fake their luxury lifestyle for a few extra likes, comments, and brand deals. From private jets and borrowed bags to counterfeit goods and sponsored luxury experiences, we're going to break it all down. Not so long ago, social media was a platform for us to stay connected with family and friends. It was a way to share pictures, moments, and ideas. Think early Facebook. But in just a few years, that has changed dramatically. Enter the influencer. Everyday people who have grown in popularity and gained millions of followers. And for some, presenting as a celebrity has become an integral part of the job. Instagram has become a highlight reel of glamorous trips, lavish parties, and exclusive designer items. But as the influencer industry grew, so did the pressure to maintain a certain image, the need to constantly portray a perfect life filled with luxury, excitement, and flawless style became the ultimate goal. I don't think social media users were aware of how much algorithms and analytics drive the content decisions for creators. Let's say, for example, you create a piece of content around you sitting on a private jet drinking some wine, and this picture or video goes viral and gets lots of engagement and everybody's talking about it in the comments, maybe it even makes a few headlines. There is an immediate motivation for creators to put out something similar, not only because their viewers have engaged with the content, so clearly like it, but also because they have some proof that it will perform well, right? And especially for creators who have made social media their full-time job and make a living, you know, support their families from the income that they make from social media, there is definitely a motivation outside of just creating and posting what you like that content creators have. However, I think the conundrum that some luxury creators find themselves in is that they may make a piece of content, for example, about an unboxing or about a holiday they've been on, and it performs very well, and then there is naturally what almost feels like a bit of pressure to create that content again. And in 2025 and the financial pressures that many of us are experiencing, I think that many creators have turned to using fakes and or lying so that they're able to maintain the type of content and post consistently.
Okay, so you'll film yourself doing your makeup, putting on great looking outfits, getting all set up to go, and you ain't going anywhere.
Correct.
So you do that and then you just take it all off and go sit down and watch reruns of Dr. Phil?
Yeah.
In 2022, the influencer marketing industry was worth over 9.7 billion, and in 2023, it was worth 21.1 billion globally. It's expected to grow to 217 billion by 2032. With that kind of money at stake, the demand for polished, aspirational content has skyrocketed. But behind the glitz and glamour, a new trend started to emerge: influencers faking their luxury lifestyles to keep up with this growing industry. And as creators faking their luxury lifestyle has increased, so has a number of occasions where these kind of influencers have been exposed. One of the most viral occurrences of this happening was as recently as last Christmas, when influencers Izzy and Kylan Darnell were exposed for using fakes in their massive Christmas hauls.
Kylan has now come out with a video where she is like, you guys, I thought everybody knew that sometimes you have real stuff, sometimes you have fake stuff, like it's not that deep. And everyone in the comments is like, it's because you implied it was real.
So how exactly do influencers fake it? It's actually easier than you might think. One of the most common tactics is borrowed goods, and this is when high-end brands lend their products to influencers to showcase on social media. It's a win-win. Influencers get the content they need to stay relevant, and brands get free advertising. And on the face of it, I actually don't think that there is a problem with this. This is an agreement that is mutually beneficial. I think the issue arises when influencers are not transparent or honest about these goods in fact being borrowed and not owned by them. I think the issue with influencers faking their lifestyles can sometimes also have a lot to do with context, because I also think being explicitly clear about, maybe a post being an ad or a promotion is also fine. If a brand borrows you a product and asks you to make an ad and you make the ad, I think it probably goes without saying that you may not own the product in the ad, but I think the waters can be very grey here, and I definitely think that some influencers do use borrowed goods and infer or suggest in different ways that it's in fact their own. And it's not just bags and clothes. Influencers often rent luxury cars for photo shoots or even full-on road trips. Many of the sleek Lamborghinis or Ferraris that you might see on your feed are likely to be a paid-for rental for a few hours to get those perfect shots. The reality behind the luxury image isn't always what you think. And this can also be said for private jets.
Did you know that some social media influencers rented a private jet to take pictures? This is taking fakeness to the next level. Companies saw a business opportunity and built a mock-up private jet into a photo studio. The influencers came pouring in and got a plane ticket for a jet made up out of wood and cardboard boxes.
When it comes to private jets, influencers are definitely not the only ones who are guilty here. I definitely remember a time where Bow Wow was forced to admit that his picture on a jet wasn't in fact a realistic depiction of what was taking place at the time.
So basically I was traveling to New York, right? And I was on a commercial flight. So I saw a picture that I liked. It was my mood picture, so I posted it. I put travel day. So someone's on the plane, they take a picture of me, right? And says, well, that's kind of odd. How is he flying private when he's right here in front of me?
Oh, so I
wasn't on the plane.
Oh, you just posted a picture you liked?
Yeah.
Well, what the hell's the problem?
Because the way it looked as if I was taking the big boy jet going to New York, and really I was on Delta, first class.
But for many influencers and celebrities, these jets are nothing more than rented backdrops. And rented luxury isn't the only technique that is used. Some influencers take things even further by using counterfeit goods. Fake designer bags, watches and clothes have become an epidemic in the influencer world. Ultimately, these items are cheaper to acquire than the real deal, but for followers, it's often impossible to see the difference. Fake luxury goods have flooded the market, and influencers are not immune to this trend. The counterfeit industry is massive, with counterfeit handbags alone accounting for $1.2 billion in global sales. But when these fake goods are paraded as the real thing, it creates unrealistic expectations for their followers. Then there's also the world of sponsored experiences. It's not uncommon for influencers to promote luxury trips, hotels, or vacation homes, only for their followers to realize the vacation wasn't exactly what it seemed. Many influencers book Airbnb properties or use sponsored stays in exotic locations to stage their content, giving followers the impression that they have an endless budget for travel.
Why are influencers always going to expensive restaurants, bougie spas, and buying designer? Why? Because most of the time this stuff is given to them for absolutely free.
Influencers have been caught renting expensive vacation homes for photo shoots. These glamorous getaways are actually just Airbnbs for the weekend, with the sole purpose of creating aspirational content that keep followers coming back for more.
We have this $100 million mansion that costs $90 an hour to rent out. A lot of creators rent that space once a week, film their content, and make it look like they live there. Rent a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, $99 an hour.
And I think that there's a very thin line that influencers have to tread, and that is between maintaining their brand and maintaining their authenticity. This is a balance that I think many influencers struggle to make. And in some ways, I can almost understand why some of these techniques are used to maintain their brand's image. You know, if you are a luxury content creator, you want to create luxury content or content that has a luxury feel to it. But I think the issue is that many followers of these influencers or consumers of this type of content are not always clear on some of the nuances that exist around content creation and are not always aware that what they're seeing is not real. So I definitely think that there is a duty on influencers to be as transparent as possible around their content. We were able to see some influencers become a bit more honest with the threat of the TikTok ban.
TikTok has stopped working in the United States. It's disappeared from Apple and Google app stores too, as part of a blackout ahead of a law implementing its shut.
TikTok was facing the possibility of being banned in several countries, and the influencer world began to shift a little. With the spotlight growing on the platform, many influencers started reflecting on their practices, and some began admitting to the fabrications they had been posting for years.
We have an update on those influencers that built their platforms off of lies, and I do not spend my money on any designer. No designer shoes, purses. I thought, what better way to celebrate than getting myself a bag that I can pass down to my future daughter?
So what does this mean for the audience? Well, it turns out that many followers are feeling the impact of this fake luxury culture. In 2022, a study by the Royal Society of Public Health revealed that social media can significantly affect mental health, with users feeling anxious, insecure, and even depressed when comparing themselves to influencers living seemingly perfect lives. As more influencers come forward and admit to the lies that they've been living, the question remains, what does the future of influencer marketing look like? Will authenticity replace perfection, or will the pressure to keep up with an unattainable image continue to push influencers further into fabrication? If you've learned something new today or feel differently about the luxury influencer world, it's really important to remember that not everything you see on social media is real or as glamorous as it seems.